Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, usually when we talk about these massive global phenomena...
Right, the stuff that literally changes the cultural landscape.
Exactly. You expect them to start with a bang, like an explosion or some huge revolution. But today, we are looking at something that started in possibly the most depressing real estate imaginable. A literal cupboard under the stairs.
It really is the ultimate humble beginning, isn't it? I mean, it's dark, it's cramped, there are spiders. It is just the absolute last place you would expect a hero to come from.
Yeah. We are, of course, talking about the boy who lived, Harry Potter. But before you roll your eyes and think, oh, I know this story, I've seen the movies, I bought the scarf pause for a second. Because our mission today isn't just to rehash the plot.
Right, we're not just here to tell you that magic is cool.
We already know that. But we have a seriously interesting stack of sources today. We're looking at book summaries, character profiles, trivia guides, and these really detailed mythological anthologies specifically about the basilisk.
Which is fascinating, by the way. We are really going to unpack the psychology of the Hogwarts houses, that real-world mythology behind the monsters, and the overarching battle between good and evil that anchors the whole series.
It's funny, revisiting this source material with fresh eyes for this deep dive, it just hits differently as an adult. Like when I was a kid, I just wanted a wand. Now, I'm reading the simple version transcript of those early chapters and looking at the Dursleys, and I'm just thinking, wow, this is a masterclass in toxic normalcy.
Toxic normalcy, that is a perfect way to put it. And let's start right there with the origin story, because that contrast between where Harry starts and where he ends up, it's crucial to understanding why this narrative works so well.
So we have Harry. He's an orphan. He's living with Aunt Petunia, Uncle Vernon, and his cousin Dudley. And looking at the character breakdowns we have here, it's not just that they are mean to him, it's how they're mean.
Yeah, it's systematic neglect. Like we said, they keep him in a literal cupboard. He's sleeping surrounded by old boots and dustpans. He does all the chores. And the Dursleys, they are just so obsessed with being normal. They are utterly terrified of anything extraordinary.
And they project all of that fear onto Harry. I was really struck by the details of the bullying in the notes. It's visceral. Dudley isn't just a spoiled brat. He is physically aggressive.
Right. He breaks Harry's toys. He physically bullies him.
He's like the physical manifestation of the world just trying to beat the special out of this kid.
But here's the key psychological insight from that character profile. Harry is explicitly described as resilient. He has this spark. Despite a whole decade of being told he's a burden, he hasn't internalized it. He didn't even know he was special, but he's still sassy. He's curious.
Which is wild, right? I mean, most kids would be totally crushed by that environment, but Harry is just kind of waiting, and then the letters arrive.
The inciting incident. This is the universe basically knocking on the door.
Or, you know, flying down the chimney. I love the escalation here in the summary. It starts with just an owl flying in during breakfast. Uncle Vernon completely freaks out.
And then it just ramps up.
Oh, totally. Letters coming through the chimney, squeezed under the door, hidden inside flower pots, literally beneath the floorboards.
It's such a great metaphor for the fact that you cannot suppress the truth. The family tries to flee. They go to that miserable remote cabin on a rock in the middle of the sea. But the magic finds him anyway.
And then crash. The door falls down. Enter Hagrid.
The colossal wild giant of a man. This is the threshold moment in the hero's journey, moving from the ordinary world of the cupboard to the extraordinary world of Hogwarts.
And he bursts on Harry's birthday. Hagrid delivers the famous news that Harry is a wizard, invited to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. But my favorite detail, and the source highlights this as a very humorous moment, is what Hagrid does to Dudley.
The pig's tail.
Yes. With a flick of his wand, he gives Dudley a curly pig's tail. It's funny, sure, but the expert insight in our notes points out it's a massive power shift. For 10 years, Dudley held all the physical power. In 1 second, the rules of the universe change. Bullying just doesn't work on magic.
Hagrid calls it a gentle reminder to be kind. But it definitely signals that justice in this new world is going to look very different. So Harry leaves the Dursleys. He gets to the school, and the arrival scene is so iconic. Crossing that big black lake by boat, seeing the castle lights for the first time, walking into the Great Hall with all those floating candles.
Which brings us to the part of the lore that I think people resonate with the most, the Sorting Hat.
Oh, absolutely, the ultimate personality test.
But looking at the school guide breakdown of the houses, it's way more nuanced than just red is the good team, green is the bad team. It's really about values. Frame this as finding your family away from home.
And remember, Harry never really had a family, so suddenly he's going to be living and learning with a specific group of people who share his core traits. That is incredibly validating.
Let's break these down, because the mottos included in our research are really telling. Starting with Gryffindor.
Gryffindor values bravery, chivalry, and nerve. And their motto is, do what is right. Notable members being Harry, Ron, Hermione.
Do what is right. That sounds noble, but man, that can be a heavy burden.
It is the classic hero archetype. But that nerve can easily tip into recklessness.
Then we have Ravenclaw, valuing wisdom, intelligence, and creativity. The guide notes they're often considered quirky, and their motto is, do what is wise.
They value the mind above all. They're the scholars who want to solve the puzzle.
Okay, now Hufflepuff. I feel like they get unfairly treated as the leftovers house in pop culture.
Yeah.
But looking at the values here, hard work, loyalty, patience, fair play, their motto is, do what is nice.
The nice house.
Oh.
But our source makes a point to note that they are also courageous. Doing what is nice when others are cheating or being cruel actually requires a lot of toughness and loyalty.
And then Slytherin, valuing ambition, cunning, and resourcefulness. Their motto is, do what is necessary.
Do what is necessary. That definitely sounds ominous.
Right. Especially since it's the house of Draco Malfoy, who the character profile describes as arrogant, sneering, pale, and deeply jealous of Harry. So the natural question is, are Slytherins inherently evil?
No. And that is a crucial distinction the school guide makes. They are not inherently evil. They are leaders who are exceedingly proud. Now, they have a tendency toward arrogance, which we see with Malfoy, but doing what is necessary is a pragmatic trait.
And it creates this incredible friction with Gryffindor versus necessary. But I want to pivot now to something that really caught my eye in this research stack. We have this detailed mythology anthology on the monster from the Chamber of Secrets, the basilisk.
The King of Serpents. This is where the lore gets really dark.
Because in the fiction version, the Harry Potter version, the basilisk is this massive, giant serpent residing in the Chamber of Secrets. It's controlled by a parselmouth, someone who speaks to snakes.
And its lethality is terrifying. Direct eye contact kills you instantly. Indirect eye contact, like through a reflection, petrifies you.
And its weaknesses in the story are the crow of a rooster, which is fatal to it, and the phoenix. Fawkes the Phoenix actually blinds it in the book. But the real-world historical mythology behind this is entirely different.
It really is. The anthology traces the origin back to Greek and Roman mythology. The name comes from the word basiliskos, meaning little king.
Little king. And they meant little.
Very little. Pliny the Elder described the basilisk as a small snake, only 12 inches long, not a giant monster.
A 12-inch snake. So the most terrifying creature in ancient myth was the size of a ruler. That's crazy.
But its power was off the charts. It was so toxic that the myth said its breath would wither plants and scorch the ground. And just like in the book, it killed with a look.
So J.K. Rowling kept the deadly gaze, but obviously a 12-inch snake isn't a very formidable fantasy boss fight. She supersized it. But where does the rooster weakness come from?
That is from medieval Europe. Over centuries, the myth evolved, and the basilisk became this weird hybrid of a serpent, a rooster, and a dragon. It was often confused with the cockatrice. And because of that rooster connection, the folklore developed the idea that a rooster's crow was its fatal weakness.
Which perfectly explains why Hagrid's roosters were being killed in the second book. But the anthology source points out something even deeper about the symbolism in these medieval bestiaries.
Right. It represented sin, specifically the corrupting influence of evil thoughts.
Yes, the idea that an evil thought is like the basilisk's gaze, it infects you instantly, which is the perfect transition to the bigger picture here, the overarching battle between good and evil. Because if the basilisk symbolizes evil thoughts, that is exactly what consumes the main villain.
Voldemort.
According to the book summaries, we see this huge progression. In the Philosopher's Stone, he's barely clinging to life, trying to steal the stone. By the Goblet of Fire, in that terrifying graveyard scene, he returns fully.
And the trivia guide describes his physical return so vividly. He is snake-like with red eyes. He is basically morphed into the very monster he reveres.
But his real name was Tom Marvolo Riddle, a human student who was terrified of death, which leads us to the endgame concept introduced in the Half-Blood Prince, the Horcruxes.
This is the darkest magic in the series. Horcruxes are objects holding pieces of Voldemort's soul, which grants him immortality.
But the act of splitting your soul requires the ultimate evil act, murder. It's the Slytherin ambition, doing what is necessary taken to a horrific extreme. He literally breaks his own soul to survive.
And that leads to the ultimate twist in the Deathly Hallows, the piece of trivia that changes everything.
Harry himself is an accidental Horcrux.
When Voldemort tried to kill baby Harry, his soul was so unstable that a piece broke off and latched onto the only living thing in the room: Harry.
The hero essentially contains a piece of the villain. That explains everything from his scar to why he can speak Parseltongue. And it flips the whole chosen one narrative. He wasn't just chosen to fight. He was chosen because he has to sacrifice himself to destroy that piece of soul.
It goes right back to the Gryffindor motto: doing what is right. Walking into the forest to face Voldemort, knowing what has to happen. It's a profound statement on resilience.
And it's interesting to look at J.K. Rowling's real-world background here, too. Our sources mention she was writing in a cafe as a struggling single mother. The first book wasn't an immediate success. She had spent time as an English teacher in Portugal.
She was writing through a lot of personal struggle, bringing these themes of resilience from her own life into this boy in the cupboard.
It's incredible. So to summarize this journey, we've gone from the boy in the cupboard to the savior of the wizarding world. It's a story about magic, sure, but it's really about personality, loyalty, and facing these ancient, deep-rooted fears.
It's about choice.
Exactly. So for you listening, I want to leave you with a reflection based on what we've unpacked today. Think about those 4 mottos. When you are faced with a challenge, which house would you be sorted into? Do you do what is right, what is wise, what is nice, or what is necessary?
It's a great question to ask yourself. And to build on the mythology source we discussed, there is a really provocative final thought here. If the basilisk symbolizes that evil thoughts can be as deadly as venom, then maybe the mirrors we use to fight them are just as important in reality as they are in fiction.
Facing our own reflections. I love that. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. Keep looking closely at those reflections, and we will catch you next time.
Take care.